So I'm going to demonstrate to you how ineffectual and pathetic the Democratic Party is, and how if they don't take the lead on reforming gun laws, they're hopeless. Because on most issues, the Democrats have similar donors, if not the exact same donors, to the Republicans, which is why we get the two parties agreeing on the worst aspects of policy. So, for example, you had a bipartisan deal recently on deregulating Wall Street. That's like a policy that you should never do because we learned time and time again throughout history, the Great Depression, the Great Recession. Hey, if you deregulate Wall Street, they're not the smartest guys in the room, they're the greediest guys in the room, and through their greed and recklessness, they're going to crash the economy. That was the lesson of that. But weird, all the Republicans and many Democrats supported deregulating Wall Street. Why? Because they both take money from Wall Street. This isn't fucking rocket science. So, oftentimes, the Democrats suck because they're paid to suck. They have the same donors as Republicans, for-profit health insurance companies. Democrats and Republicans take that money. So, wow, shocker, there's very few people who are fighting for Medicare for all. That's why, okay? But here's an issue, guns. It's one of the rare issues where over 90% of the Democrats take no NRA money at all, no gun manufacturer money at all. So that means they're actually freed up to be correct on this issue. And if you have conversations with many elected Democrats, they'll tell you that their positions on this issue are very similar to yours, and they're correct on it. But we still don't get gun reform. Even when the Democrats had a supermajority, no gun reform. When we had countless mass shootings and the Republicans had control of either the House or the Senate, the Democrats proposed some gun reform. The Republicans said, go fuck yourself, and the Democrats put their tail between their legs and they went home. They proposed one bill and then they went home. Meanwhile, the Republicans, when they want something like repealing Obamacare, they propose 60 bills to do it. They just kept trying. No, we're going to fucking get this done. I'm sorry, I don't care what you think. We're going to get it done. The Democrats proposed gun reform once and then went home and said, I guess we're not going to get it. So even when they're right, they don't know how to fight. That's the point. That's the fucking point. So, just how bad is it? Well, Democrats they're not running on the issue of gun reform. They're afraid. They think, oh my God, in red districts, we're going to lose. We got to not touch this issue because, oh, goodness gracious, this is such a difficult one. No. So, let me make my case for you here. First, let's take a look at this. This is from a few years ago. The Hill. This is a poll. 92% of gun owners support universal background checks. 92% of voters, including 92% of gun owners and 86% of Republicans. 86% of Republicans support background checks prior to all gun sales, according to a poll from Quinnipiac University. You're not going to get an issue that is more one-sided than that. I might mean that literally. I'm not sure you can get more people than that to believe in evolution. I mean, maybe the one issue that will surpass it is round Earth versus flat Earth. But 92% of voters, 86% of Republicans, are for gun reform, are for a universal background check, no exceptions. I don't hear the Democrats. Do you hear the Democrats? I don't hear the Democrats. If you run on this issue, you're even going to get Republican voters to go, you know, they have a point on that one. They have a point on that one. We have a fucking mass shooting every other week. We have 32,000 people die every year from gun violence, 10 to 12,000 homicides every year. Hey, maybe we can do a background check. That doesn't seem like a crazy idea. But no, they're not going to run on it. Let me give you more. This is from a Politico Morning Consult poll in 2017. Democratic voters are overwhelmingly supportive of new gun laws. 83% back stricter laws compared with only 12% who oppose them. Among independents, 58% support stricter gun control and a third oppose them. But the poll also finds some less likely groups are closely split. 49% of Republican voters support stricter gun control laws. Only 45% oppose them. Wow. Among voters who said they supported Donald Trump in last year's election, 46% are in favor of stricter gun laws and 48% are opposed. A 55% majority of gun owners back new restrictions while 41% oppose them. 79% of voters support banning the use of bump fire stocks the device the Las Vegas shooter used to modify a dozen of his semi-automatic weapons to fire hundreds of rounds per minute. Only 13% of voters oppose banning bump fire stocks. Wow. A number of specific proposals garner significant public support, with more than 8 in 10 voters backing required background checks on all gun sales, 88%, preventing sales of all firearms to people who have been reported as dangerous to law enforcement by a mental health provider, 87%, making private gun sales and sales at gun shows subject to background checks, 84%, preventing those convicted of violent misdemeanors from buying guns, 83%, and barring gun purchases by those on the federal no-fly or terrorist watch list, 82%. Other proposals earning majority support, requiring all owners to store their guns in a safe storage unit, 77%, creating a national database for each gun sale, 76%, requiring a 3-day waiting period for gun purchases, 76%, banning assault-style weapons, 72%, banning high-capacity magazines, 72%, prohibiting Americans from carrying guns at schools and on college campuses, 69%, limiting Americans to 1 firearms purchase per month, 69%, limiting ammunition purchases, 69%, and banning firearms from all workplace settings, 59%. So, let me explain something to all of you. These issues are not even close to debatable in terms of where a majority sits. I mean, these are overwhelming numbers across the board. Every single specific gun proposal I just mentioned is a strong majority in favor of doing it. But the Democrats are refusing. Now, what's the final argument that they use to try to wiggle out of having fucking balls and fighting? Very simple. They go, well, but look, here's the problem. There are many conservative districts that we're trying to flip. In those conservative districts, those are like the one place in the country, the few places in the country where you can't run on an issue like that and win. That's what they tell us. That's what they tell us. That also is not true. So for this, we go to a Vice article and they break it down here. To see what gun control polling looked like on a district-by-district basis, I asked political scientist Christopher Scavron for some help. Scavron is an expert in a modeling technique designed to estimate district-level opinion called multi-level regression and post-stratification, or MRP. That technique uses regression modeling that accounts for individual characteristics like race and gender, as well as district characteristics like support for Trump. Using the MRP estimates, I then analyzed support for ending the gun show loophole and banning assault weapons, policies often cited by gun control advocates. In the 98 Republican-held districts that Democrats are targeting, I find that in the average DCCC target district, support for closing the gun show loophole, background checks for all sales, including at gun shows and over the internet, is how the question is worded, is a whopping 88%. Support for an assault weapons ban is 61%. Even in red districts being targeted by Democrats, 61% of the voters want to ban assault weapons. In other words, the Democrats are empirically, objectively, factually wrong. If you run on the issue of gun reform, it's a giant winner for you. It's a giant winner. So this goes back to it, man. The Democrats are weak. Even when they're right on an issue and you have a conversation with them and they'll tell you everything you want to hear. Hey, we should do universal background checks. We should ban high-capacity magazines. We should have a testing system to make guns like cars. You know, maybe we should ban assault weapons. You have a conversation with a Democrat. They'll tell you everything you want to hear, an elected Democrat. But then when it comes, oh, so are you going to run on it? No, I'm not going to do it. Why? Well, the politics and, you know, the stuff and things. It doesn't make any sense. The polls show people are overwhelmingly with you, even in the red districts you're targeting. Not going to do it. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. No spine, no backbone, don't know how to make an argument, and the country suffers as a result of it. And you need the friends of the shooting victims to come out and make the arguments that the Democrats should be making. I don't know what more evidence I can show you. I just gave the Democrats the evidence, and it is so overwhelming that it's impossible to come to a different conclusion than the one we came to, which is you can run on this issue. And listen, to be fair to the Democrats, I would have argued, before seeing all these numbers, I would have argued, hey, maybe it's not a good idea in those red districts that you're targeting to run on this issue because it's a social issue, and usually conservatives have disagreements with Democrats on social issues. I don't think there's as much of a difference on economics as people think there is. I think, and the polls show it, most Republicans support Medicare, Social Security. You can make an argument for Medicare for all and sway them, a living wage, that'll sway them. So I think economics really cuts across the board. But what we're learning now is, no, even on an issue like basic gun reform, that cuts across the board. So the Democrats aren't going to run on it, and it's embarrassing, and it's pathetic. And wouldn't it be great if we had a Democratic Party that was as aggressive in fighting for what they're supposed to believe in as the Republicans are for fighting in what they believe in? Because I just told you, the Republicans, they tried to repeal Obamacare 60 times. And guess what? The first time they got control of everything, and Obama was gone, and now Trump's president, you know what they did? Trump immediately signed like 4 or 5 executive orders that effectively gut Obamacare. 3 million people were kicked off of their health insurance. You know, they gut the advertising budget for Obamacare 90%. So they tell you, hey, this is what we're going to do, and then they go and they do it. The Democrats, please, you're useless. They're Republican light. That's what they are. And even when they tell you they agree with you, at the end of the day, they don't fight for it. And then guess what? They continue to lose to a horrific, disgusting, comic book villain political party like the Republicans. How the fuck can you lose to them? Very simple. Instead of giving people an alternative, you say, I'm kind of like them, except slightly better. And then whenever you give people an option of Republican or Republican light, they always pick Republican. But if you had given people a choice of Republican or populist left, they're going to go populist left all the time.